Street is that it is very difficult to get south of here. There's a street called the West Side Highway that has been set up as a staging area for all these search and rescue teams that are coming to town to assist in these efforts. The mayor is saying this morning that they hope to open up some of these corridors heading south to Wall Street in anticipation of the exchanges opening again tomorrow. Once again, the numbers continue to be disturbing. The medical examiner of New York City saying they now have 500 body bags on hand, that they have ordered at least 5,000 more that are on the way. We can tell you this morning, and we can confirm this now because the mayor's confirming it, 300 firefighters missing, 30 police officers missing, and about 30 Port Authority police officers missing. And Miles, the most disturbing statistic of all, and this is the first time the mayor has been saying this, is that 3,700 people are known to be missing.
All right, thank you very much, Paula. We're going to turn it over to Staten Island, New York, not far from where Paula is standing right now. CNN's Hillary Lane is there with some information on the phone with us from there, some information about what is going on there. Hillary?
Good morning. What is happening here is that they have shut down Staten Island. Port Authority police are telling us this morning there is no way anyone will get on the island, and they are not allowing cars off the island at this point. From New York or New Jersey, there are about 4 entrances to Staten Island, which is one of the 5 New York City boroughs. All of those bridges have been closed at this point. The Staten Island Ferry, which ran from downtown Manhattan, obviously is not in service as well. They will not confirm what is going on Staten Island at this point. They said they are moving emergency personnel in, conducting some sort of an investigation, but Police Officer Hughes of the Port Authority Police will not tell us why. He's only saying that Staten Island has been shut down at this point. Back to you.
Hillary, just to confirm, Staten Island has been the site of a repository for much of the rubble from the collapse of the World Trade Center. Is there some linkage there?
I cannot tell you this at this point. The only thing they're telling us is that they're moving emergency personnel in. There was a good deal of police activity at the Outer Bridge crossings where we tried to enter from the southern tip. Our producer, Vito Maggiolo, is trying to make it in from the Goethals Bridge from the New Jersey side. He has been shut off as well and says it does not look like they are letting anybody off. Earlier today, he thought there was one lane of one bridge open and that they were letting cars go by one, but apparently that has been stopped as well.
And have you been told to evacuate the area or just stay put then, Hillary?
We were not allowed to go onto the island at all. They were moving all cars out of the way, so they said they could move in police personnel from the New Jersey police and from the Port Authority police. But like I said, nobody is allowed to go onto Staten Island at this point, and it does not appear like they're letting anybody exit the island as well.
Hillary and Miles, I'd love to jump in here because this brings to mind something that happened during the 10 o'clock hour of our broadcast last night when we were told the Empire State Building was being evacuated and Penn Station was being evacuated. It turns out there was nothing to whatever threats were made there. So, Hillary, I guess one of the things we're going to have to continue to live with perhaps is fake threats in some of these areas. I know we don't know enough at this point to say that. I just wanted to interject that because it
I think
was
that's
scary
right.
for a number of us last night.
I think it's a case of, take every precaution at this point. Don't let anything go by. And in the case of a borough like Staten Island, which is accessible only by bridge at this point, it is a very easy area to cordon off should that be the case. And so I think police have moved in this morning working on whatever information they are and taking every precaution that they can. And in this case, they are able to block off, to entirely cordon off the island.
Okay, Miles, I don't know if you want to carry on here.
All right, thank you very much, Paula. As a matter of fact, we're going to keep it in New York. Let's move along to the hospitals, a scene of a real wrenching emotion as medical personnel try to care for tremendous numbers of severely wounded people. Brian Palmer has been at St. Vincent's Hospital, along with the fatigued staff there, trying to keep us updated. What do you know, Brian?
Exactly. Well, we've seen a trickle of ambulances arrive here at St. Vincent's Hospital Medical Center. Actually, under a dozen volunteer. There was a volunteer police officer who was just treated, and emergency services vehicle going past. This is one of the main arteries south to the blast site. But Paula said before, a largely typical scene in New York, but that's largely above 14th Street. Below 14th Street, where we are, there's a state of emergency. The streets have been shut down to anything other than authorized vehicles, emergency services vehicles, which is kind of eerie. This is one of the most vibrant parts of New York, with New York University and the Parsons School of Design in Greenwich Village and the legendary jazz clubs. People are waking up, but the scene is a bit subdued. Now, here at St. Vincent's, they had set up a treatment area outside of the hospital. They've actually taken that down and moved things back inside, as sort of a sign that things are returning to normalcy, but also a sign that they're not receiving the numbers that they expected. Miles?
Brian, if you would you mind sort of taking off the electronic blinders, if you will, and pan the camera around so we can sort of set the scene? You sort of referred to it, and just describe what you're seeing there as you stand in the midst of all of this.
Well, what we're seeing now outside of St. Vincent's is really a press vigil, but we've also seen some family members who've come by to talk to the press, family members of people who are still missing. But you see a scrum of just press waiting for the latest information from St. Vincent's spokespeople. They were holding regularly scheduled press conferences, but what they've told us now is that they're going to speak to us when they have new information. What they have told us is that they're going to try and set up a website which would have patient names. The catch there is that they need to get the permission from all these patients, over 400 patients, before they can post that. But they're working in cooperation with the city's Office of Emergency Management to do that.
Brian, we've heard these tragic stories about family members looking for missing relatives who might or might not be in hospitals, might or might not be identified. How many of those have you seen? Are there quite a few in numbers?
Well, we haven't seen too many of those here yet. We've been here about 2 or 3 hours, but we have seen some people here who have actually taken their case directly to the media, and they're talking to people here and trying to get their stories out, Miles.
CNN's Brian Palmer maintaining a vigil at St. Vincent's Hospital in Manhattan. Let's go back to Paula.
You know, Miles, I'd love to stay with you for a second. The one thing that none of us has addressed, I think because the markets continue to be closed, is what the impact of this horrible tragedy is going to have on markets. You know, we know all the major brokerage houses are closed. We don't know, how that's going to affect people's individual accounts. And right now I'm going to check in with a man, Michael Farr, who I think can give us all a better sense of what broader picture of what impact this might all have on the complete economy. Mr. Michael Farr, thank you so much for joining us today. Sure. Let me see if I have this correct. You're with Farr, Miller & Washington. What is that?
We're a money management firm here in Washington, D.C. We manage individual accounts and institutional accounts.
All right. I think almost everyone that we have talked to or seen as quoted would acknowledge that this is going to certainly add instability to an already weakening economy. How much instability?
Well, that's the big question. We really don't know. We do know that Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan has said that he and the Federal Reserve are at the ready to supply whatever liquidity is necessary to maintain order and stability in the financial markets. We've also seen G7 leaders come up with the same pledge of liquidity, and in fact a great deal of liquidity was applied yesterday. So when we have seen periods like this in our nation's history of catastrophe, including Pearl Harbor, including the attack in 1993 at the World Trade Center, Desert Storm and the Gulf War, there is a period of instability, and then some 6 months later, on average, we see markets trading higher by about 11%, and 12 months out, markets are some 18% higher. The American markets are some of the of course, best and finest in the world, largest in the world, and bringing them back to order so that we can begin to get back to some sort of business again will happen. This time, amount of time that it takes to happen is really what's in question. And I think, so much of the infrastructure of the markets at the various firms and World Trade Center, so many of our friends, Wall Street's a place of relationships. And we all know people that were there, and we're grieving for them. We're all walking around a little bit numb, knowing how important and vital it is that we get back to the business of America's business.
Michael, you brought up a couple of those other crises. How critical or how relevant is it that this is the first crisis, other than the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, that has happened in the financial heart of a city?
Well, I think that it is certainly significant, again, because Wall Street is a place of relationships. Business is done still just by a person's word, frequently over the telephone, based on relationships that we've built. Now, the data, the real backbone of what happened in the World Trade Center in terms of records and papers and that sort of thing, are all held in off-site, replicated in off-site storage centers, data storage centers away from Manhattan. So the skeleton and the architecture of the markets is still there, ready to come back in place. The minds, the experience, the expertise, the brilliance that was housed in those buildings, the relationships that were so essential to getting business done, have tragically been lost, and we need to rebuild ways to add some meat back on the infrastructure to get business resumed on Wall Street.
Michael, need a real brief answer to this one. We're talking, there's talk that a spending bill of some $20 billion will end up at the president's desk sometime today. Is that drop in a bucket, or is that something that also, at a time when people are worried about Social Security and some of the budget resolutions, might also have an impact on the economy?
I think that certainly it's a drop in the bucket, but it's an indicator of the support that's at the ready, and it won't be the last bit of support at the ready. I think that everyone's focused, everyone is joining together to get back to some normalcy and to make sure that America shows its resolve to move forward from this sort of great disaster. Though our hearts are certainly heavy, we forge ahead.
Okay, Michael Farr, thanks for your insights this morning. Back to Atlanta now, and Miles.
Thank you very much, Paula. In New York, after all, they invented the ticker tape parade. This is a city that is used to cheering on what it deems to be heroes. Through all of this terrible tragedy, a new kind of hero has emerged, and Jeannie Mose tells us about that.
We've seen the bad news over and over, from above, from below.
I hope I live. It's coming down on me.
The doctor holding this camera did live, and now New Yorkers are saying we will survive. Guys driving bulldozers are getting the red carpet treatment.
Thank you!
New Yorkers, who sometimes treat camouflage as a fashion statement, are cheering the military.
Thank you, guys! I was so touched when I first came around the corner and saw what was happening. I kept having to fight back tears.
I've been mesmerized by watching this on TV, and I wanted to come out and show my support.
This woman used to have a view of the Twin Towers from her apartment. Now the skyline has too much sky.
It reminds me of when somebody loses their two front teeth or something, and there's this void, and you feel like something should be there, but it's not.
I woke up this morning and I made this T-shirt, and I thought, that's just not enough. What else can I do?
Luke Littell ended up making a big thank you sign. Soon others joined in. Firemen tend to be favorites. But folks even cheered Con Ed, a utility.
Probably the only time that we'll ever see Con Ed trucks applauded.
The crowd applauded trucks full of debris and ash.
You see these flowers?
Yep.
That's for every truck that goes by that has ashes in it, because in those ashes is someone's family's family.
Some folks choked back tears. Others vented their anger.
I'm mad. That's what I am. I'm a Vietnam veteran. Mr. Bush, put the bombers up in the air. Get him. Just get him. Get him. Get him. Get him.
Some would like to get the towers rebuilt.
You can hurt us, you can keep us down, but you can't keep us down forever. And I think the rebuild would be a symbol to the world that the human spirit is alive and well here.
The spirits of those involved in the rescue effort seemed raised by the reception.
I think the people are great!
A moving reception for those who move the earth. Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
All right, remarkable scenes of contrast in New York City in the wake of this terrible tragedy. Let's take a look at some live pictures. Baltimore Harbor, I believe, is the place we are moving to. This is the U.S. Naval Hospital ship Comfort. You're seeing a very close shot of it. There's the radar tower, the conning tower of this particular ship. It is in this harbor to bring supplies, to aid and help in